Hello and welcome back from what I hope have been wonderful Easter holidays. You're listening to Coffee Guy, and today I'm going to be reviewing the latest Tier 8 Soviet light tank, the LT-432. It comes in at, I'd say, a pretty good value base price of 6,500 gold. And it's got some really quirky history as well. So it was designed in the Soviet Union in the 1960s as a variant of the Object 432, which would later go on to be the quite famous T-64, and you can see some similarities in the holes. But unlike the T-64, this tank was designed to carry troops, and you can see the similarities here with the really famous BMP-1 Soviet infantry fighting vehicle. So it followed Soviet doctrine at the time of being quite low silhouetted, giving it a bit of stealth and manoeuvrability, at the expense of crew comfort, of course, and gun depression. And it's quite different to Western tanks, which had big turrets, big armament at the time. But it's also quite different in that, as a troop transporter, it was designed for the infantry to fight from the tank rather than dismounting and then fighting on foot. And you can see this in the hard-hitting 85mm gun that you get with it. So what do you get with this tank? What makes it different from other Tier 8 light equivalents? Well, you get a pretty good speed of 65 km an hour, powered by an 800 horsepower engine, 29.63 horsepower to ton, so it gives you pretty good acceleration. However, the gun is a real highlight on this. It's 85mm, but it's better than most of the 85mm you will have come across. You get 176mm of penetration on your standard rounds there, as well as a reload rate of 6 seconds, giving you 10 rounds a minute, damage of 180, but also a pretty impressive depression at -7 degrees, with an accuracy of 0.38. So you can really use this to pop up over ridgelines and snipe away. Downside is the damage per minute is slightly lower than its Tier 8 contemporaries at only 1800, so do keep that in mind. So your tracks aren't particularly broad, they do only give you 45 degrees of whole movement rotation as well, which is pretty poor for other lights. And similarly with the turret, you only get 45 degrees of rotation, which is pretty slow, and you'll get outcircled quite easily by other lights. In terms of ammo, all located around the sides of the turret. That turret armour is pretty trolly to get through, but if you want to go for it, there's a slight lip on the side of the tank below, and that's where you should aim. And in terms of the crew, there's only 3 in there. And it's really the camo factor on this tank where the big selling point is. It's 0.33 both stationary and on the move, which is very good for its tier, and you need to take advantage of that. In terms of the armour itself, it's up to 20 on the tracks, and on the plate right at the bottom you've got a tiny little strip of 20 to 30 at the bottom there. And in terms of the gun itself, and then moving on to the lower glacis plate and their sides, it's between 30 and 50, and that's probably where you want to be aiming if you at all can. That front glacis plate, which is between 51 and 71, and parts of the turret, are actually quite bouncy, and the rest of the turret is a bit of a mishmash of different plates going up in thickness, and so I'd say try and avoid hitting the turret on this thing if you can. Try and go for the sides and back if you want to guarantee a shot. So in terms of my crew at the moment, they're very new, very light. I'm training up 6 cents as it is. My intention, once I've got them trained up a bit more, is to go straight onto camo. And then in terms of cost of ammo, 220 for your standard APCR is very good. I tend to take a loadout of 35 of those shells for 10 HE, 10 premium ammo, which boosts your penetration by about 30mm, and also 5 high explosives. In terms of equipment, I've gone with Koshi optics and vertical stabilizers at the moment. Probably going to go with a gun ram afterwards just to get that DPM up a little bit. But I'm waiting on a bit more silver until I can get that unlocked. So there we have it, that's enough stats. Let's jump into some gameplay. So I think the match I've got lined up for you is a Tier 9 game. It's on Fisherman's Bay. Actually, it was probably quite a nice bit of matchmaking on this one. I tend to get lumped in with Tier 10s quite a lot. I've had a few bad experiences recently on Fisherman's Bay, so I was indicating for people to go down the one line, because the enemy can make a run up to your base otherwise if you don't. But I thought the best place for me in a tank like this would be on the centre ridgeline around the village, and you'll see why in a minute. As it happens, we've got quite a good spread on our team. Our tank destroyers have taken up, moved to take up position along the A line so they can hit things coming up, and we've got quite a few lights up around the centre ridge, and so that's exactly what I was hoping to do, is to light up the enemy team as they move towards the town, and they've not disappointed me. Got a good shot in there, but I'm pulling back. I don't really want to take hits this early on in the game. We've only got 1100 hit points in this tank, and they do disappear pretty fast. And straight away you can see one of the kind of characteristics of this gun, if you like, is that if you fully aim, it can quite reliably hit. But if you're not, if you try and hit on the go, you tend to miss. There's no Hand of Stalin that comes up for this tank. I got a bit too cocky there and took a nasty hit from something. I'm not quite sure what it was, so I pulled back a bit. But straight away you can see the low silhouette on this tank means you drop off people's radars pretty quickly. And that is a real advantage. It makes it very good on kind of rolling hillside like this, where you can just pop up, take a shot, and then drop back out of sight again. And you've got the mobility, the kind of power to weight ratio to get you going quickly to make that work. So I'm in a bit of a tricky situation here, because I've spotted all that I really can. And I'm looking for an opportunity or a weakness to go and get involved, but there aren't really any. There's nowhere I can go where I'm not going to expose myself to massive amounts of enemy fire. So I'm just trying to roll about backwards and forwards, peek over this ridgeline, spot people where I can, and just looking for a chance to come up. And we're already one light tank down. I'm just thinking, can I take care of their enemy light on this ridge? I'm just trying to track him, keep him in line. But I guess this is one of the kind of key points of being a light tank commander, especially at higher tiers like this, is that you're going to get yourself in situations sometimes where it's quite hard for you to do very much. And I've seen a lot of people in situations like this will just go YOLO at the enemy camp, light up the entirety of the enemy team for about 2 seconds before being taken out, and it's a waste. There's nothing wrong sometimes with just kind of holding your ground if you know you're in a fairly good position and just waiting for that opportunity to come. So here we're doing a fairly good job of keeping their light tanks in check, though I must admit I have concerns at this point about the town and the balance of numbers there. But as we see, if you aim and give that gun time, it can really reward you with some pretty accurate shots, and I think I just about get another one on the Pershing as well before he dips down. This is why it's so important to have those tank destroyers up there on that A line, because the enemy can really quickly sneak up that route, and if there's nothing there, they've got a green light all the way to your base. But I don't think that Pershing's going to be going anywhere. So just again, use that gun depression, peek over, get the pattern, get back again before he can hit you, use that low silhouette. Just warily keeping an eye on that T-49. We've got Huntsman trying to follow the Pershing up the one line. Yeah, just if you just try and auto-lock and fire, it doesn't seem to have as good results as some of the other Russian tanks do. Let's see if I can get that Huntsman. There we go, got one in on him. It's probably playing a bit aggressively, to be honest, for that tank. I really do like the Huntsman, but it's definitely not something you want to be charging headlong at the enemy in. You should probably be trying to use ridge lines and stay hidden, because its best attribute is its frontal turret armour. Having said that, he's doing a remarkably good job of stopping me from hitting him right now. got another enemy light here. I was just kind of waiting to see if he would peek out from behind that building. I thought maybe between the two of us we could trap him. He seems to have holed up there quite nicely. There we go, he's popped up again. Get a nice hit through his front plate, he gets taken down. I can shift my attention back to that huntsman. But again, hadn't quite aimed there and just went completely wild in that. Get another one on him. I think he realises his mistake and he's trying to hightail it back, but got a bit of a mercy roll there. And this is when the game kind of turns for this vehicle. So you want to use that gun depression and camouflage factor to stay hidden and spot at the start, and then you use your speed and manoeuvrability at the end to try and chase down stragglers and people who have been separated. So I was going to try and do that with this huntsman, but exactly as I come over the ridge, I think he gets finished off. But all is not lost, because I spot the GW Tiger in the process. Now, I hate these with a passion as far as arty go. They just have that unnerving ability to one-shot you in pretty much any situation, so I'm going to try and be a little bit careful here actually. Switch to high explosive, but even a near miss from him will probably cripple me, so I really don't want to risk that at this point. Get a nice shot on as he flees there, and then try and keep the building between me and him so I can get another final shot on him. Again, not fully aimed and misses completely. Finally get him. So at this point, it seems that the game is in the net really. I must admit, I'd had my concerns about that centre, that town, because the enemy outnumbered us so much, but our team have done a really good job of holding them in check there, and now it's just a mopping up operation. And so I'm heading down to try and help out, trying to make sure I keep out of the enemy base so I don't alert them. Not that it really matters at this point, to be honest. So I guess now's probably a good time to summarise this tank. Overall, its advantages, things that are quite unique to it that other lights don't have, is that low silhouette and that high camouflage factor. Remember, 0.33 is very good compared to other tier 8 lights. And your armour is surprisingly bouncy, especially that turret. You will bounce a lot, and obviously don't rely on it, but it has saved me an awful lot. And the gun's not so bad as well. But it really is about using those perks, that depression, the gun, the camouflage, at the beginning to spot people. You don't want to be an active scout too much, because if you come against other lights, they will be able to outcircle you with their better traverse speeds. So you really want to save that until the end, when you've got numbers on your side and you can chase down stragglers. But it also comes with a nice 10% XP bonus and a 50% silver bonus. And as we see here, you really do whack up that silver on it. I think I get under 100,000, and that's without any premium time. Although admittedly it's got some of the ops on at the moment in the spring games. I do get my first class badge. I think I do come top of the team on this, and you wouldn't necessarily afford it from direct damage, but it's just racking up all of that spotting and assist damage, which is how lights are meant to be played. So hope you've enjoyed that review. Do subscribe if you did. Also feel free to list your recommendations for future tank reviews that I can get onto. Look forward to seeing you all out on the battlefield. Coffee Guy out.